This episode is sponsored by TornSports.com, and I've got a lovely pair of sliders here. Every footballer's dream. What else do they do, Lou?
They do grip socks, all heights. So,
Nice.
they've got the ankle ones. And they actually do, I don't know, the footballers' trend these days is where they have the little cut in the back of their match day socks.
Yeah.
So they do them as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they do plenty of different socks and obviously sliders. So.
That's sick. Yeah, these sliders are very nice. If you want to grab yourself anything, head over to TornSports.com and get yourself something nice.
Welcome back to Ball Talk with me, Lewis Bryon, and today I'm joined as usual by St Albans striker Ken Charles. Ken, before we get into some of the weekend's Premier League games, I just want to talk on the Premier League as a whole this season. Because for me, it's been, I don't know, it seems like something's changed. It's been a weird one. Like United, big team, 13th. Spurs, biggish team, 15th. And then teams like Nottingham Forest smashing it. I think they're third in the table.
Yeah.
Bournemouth, they're 6th or 7th, but they've been like beating a lot of big teams. Mm-hmm. Spurs and United both lost on the weekend to Everton and Brighton.
Yeah.
What is going on? Do you think, why do you think the Premier League's been like that this season? Do you think it's changed at all?
I think that's probably why they say the Premier League's the best/toughest league in the world. I think there's so much money in it, even for like the Bournemouth, the Forest and that kind of stuff, that they can actually assemble some really good teams. And just because you're United or just because you're Spurs, you don't have the divine right to just turn up and win football matches. Like these smaller teams by name, they're still filled with quality, and therefore a lot of them have been overachieving this season. And that's made it interesting because even with the title race, that's made it wide open. Like the last couple of years, Arsenal and City, obviously City won them, but Arsenal right behind them kind of ran away with it, and the standard was like really, really high. Even this season, like Liverpool aren't running away with it.
Yeah.
If Arsenal replicated some of last season's form, it'd be a lot tighter. I think there's a lot of points being dropped, and I'm sure we all predict that Liverpool will drop more points, as will Arsenal. So I think that's credit to the rest of the league.
Yeah, but do you think there is a difference then between, say, 5 years ago and now? Like, I know you just mentioned it, but for me, the consistency of teams as a whole has definitely changed in terms of 1 week they can look unreal like United, and 1 week they can't. They can look terrible. Is it more down to the style of football these days? Like everything seems high press, everything seems a high line. Every team, even if they haven't got the ability, want to play out from the back.
Yeah.
Whereas 5-10 years ago, a lot of teams, your bottom half of the table teams will pretty much sit in against everyone.
Yeah. That makes it really interesting but then that's why I said with the money the Prem has, they can almost afford to get good enough players to play that way. 5 or 10 years ago, like you say, in the bottom 10 teams, they probably didn't have the players to try and play the same style of football as the top end teams. So they just decided, okay, we're going to make the best of what we have. We're going to probably sit back, give the other team respect, and try to be hard to beat. Whereas now
They've got talent.
They've got enough talent to say, no, we're going to go toe to toe with you. And we've seen it, like, the likes of Bournemouth with players like Semenyo and stuff. Those are top players that can play right at the top, in the top teams in the Premier League. Same with Forest, with your like Elangas, Hudson-Odoi's. Like, there's a lot of talent in these teams.
So you think it's
enables
more
them to play exactly like the best teams play, I think.
Yeah, so it's more the bottom half table teams becoming better, really, and not the top half sort of becoming more volatile.
I think it's a lot more that.
Yeah.
I obviously think, teams like United are definitely underperforming by a long stretch.
I mean, to call them a top team, they've been off it for years now, to be fair.
It's just as a club, not necessarily a team.
Yeah.
Obviously, as a club, they're huge, but they're definitely, underperforming as such. But like, even your Arsenals or your Liverpools and stuff, they've been dropping points in games where on paper you'd expect them to just roll up and win.
Yeah.
And I think that's more so credit to the other teams becoming a lot more competitive than it is because them two have fallen off. That's my opinion, obviously.
Yeah, and for me, it's happening a lot. Like Arsenal, it would always happen a couple games, but for me, it's just happening a lot more this year. So, yeah, maybe it's just credit to the lower half teams that we used to call them for getting better players.
Yeah.
One of the teams that are struggling and lost 3-0 to Everton 3-2 in the end to Everton on the weekend was Spurs. There's always been a lot of talk with Ange and his style of football. Is it a style that can consistently win games?
Yeah.
Do you think it's like he's run his course with Tottenham? Like, is it time for him to leave?
It's a tough one. Like, the question will be about does he turn it around? Like, I think they'll give him.
It's been a year and a half now, isn't it?
No, as in sorry. Like, but does he turn around this current 15th position and have a good run into the end of the season and climb up the table? I think if he does that, I think he'll be all right, even if they end up finishing 9th or something. Just because
9th, you reckon? I reckon if he finishes 9th, he's got to go. Like,
I understand what you're saying.
He's got no big players. Like, he's got no like real Harry Kanes or leaders, older leaders in the team, really, especially down the spine. But I just think you can't be like, he's still got talented young players there. Yeah. You can't be finishing 9th with that squad.
No, it's underperforming without a doubt. And questions will need to be asked. I just don't know if like sacking the manager is always the answer. How many managers have they got rid of Spurs as a club in the last few years, and what's ever changed? Like, I understand what you're saying in terms of can his style actually be consistent enough in the Premier League? Debatable. Carragher made an interesting analogy at the weekend about the weather. Did you see it?
What did he say?
He was like, he wants to go out in shorts every day, but
oh, right.
if it's raining, you can't. You have to.
I remember Arteta saying something like that as well.
I mean, it's a valid point, isn't it? It's like, everyone wants to play this high pressing attacking.
It's true, man.
Football. That's the dream way to play football. But sometimes you've got to adapt to get results, and he's probably not doing that quick enough because there's no reason for them to be underneath Man United.
Yeah, and I think Spurs fans are getting frustrated with the same like quite placid interviews after the games.
He's weird in the interviews.
He just sort of sits there like this, like looking not really moving and looking just like sad.
Yeah, looking down on the floor.
And like we're not good enough, or saying whatever. But it's all very like monotone. Yeah. And for me, if I was supporting Spurs, that wouldn't give me any confidence. Would you?
Nah. I mean,
so you're saying keep him to the end of the season, basically, and see where they're at.
Yeah, because he's proven in patches for me that he can bring some excitement back to Spurs. Now, will that be enough to win stuff? Maybe not. But they're in a cup semi-final. They're one game away from a potential final. I think all of that is working in his favour. I think if they weren't in the League Cup semi-final, then you just look at the season as a complete failure. Yeah. I think if he can go through in the League Cup and get them to a cup final, then it's all there to play for. If they win a cup, you can't sack him. They haven't done that.
They almost pretty much did with Mourinho. He got him to the final.
Yeah, I know, but that must have been like some 40 years. Yeah, but like assuming nothing happens behind the scenes, if he wins a cup, I think if you're a Spurs fan, surely you'd take a League Cup and finish in 10th over.
It's Daniel Levy though, isn't it?
Yeah,
that guy.
But knowing Daniel Levy, Ange is probably in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, I think so. He's definitely like business first over what's best for like the fans and the club. I think.
I don't think he's bothered that they haven't won a trophy however many long, as long as Spurs are doing well as business.
Yeah, for sure.